Let me paint you a picture. You go to your doctor for your annual checkup. You feel fine, by the way, and they pull up your labs and give you that look, and then they say, your LDL is creeping up. I think it's time we talk about a statin. And just like that, a routine lab result turns into a daily pill. One your doctor fully expects you'll be taking for the next 30 years. Now, here's the part I need you to hear. I'm a pharmacist. I have been standing behind that counter for over 30 years, and I have filled thousands of statin prescriptions. And I'm going to tell you flat out, before you fill that script, there are things your doctor probably didn't cover in that 7-minute appointment. Things that could change your entire decision. And stay with me, because what I'm about to share isn't anti-doctor, it's pro-you. And I'm JD, pharmacist, 30 plus years in healthcare, and I want to be crystal clear before we dive in. I am not here to tell you that statin medications are poison and your doctor is out to get you. That is not this channel. What I am here to tell you is that there is a very important difference between treating a number on a lab report and treating a human being. And somewhere along the way, a lot of medicine got those two things confused. Statins lower LDL cholesterol. That part is not in dispute. What is in dispute, and what most people never get told, is what that actually means for your life, in your body, with your specific risk profile. That conversation almost never happens at the doctor's office. So we're going to have it right here. Here's something I learned early in my pharmacy career that I've never forgotten. A drug that fixes a number is not automatically a drug that fixes a person. Statins will lower your LDL, full stop. They are extremely good at that one job. But the bigger question, the one that actually matters, is what does a lower LDL number do for you, specifically at your age, with your risk factors? And here's where it gets uncomfortable. When you look at the actual clinical data for people who have never had a heart attack or a stroke, what researchers call primary prevention, the numbers are a lot less impressive than the commercials suggest. And in many studies, you have to treat anywhere from 100 to well over 400 patients with a statin for several years to prevent a single cardiovascular event. And that range shifts dramatically based on your actual risk level. The lower your baseline risk, the worse those odds get. And that is not me making that up. That is what the published studies say. Now, does that mean statins are never appropriate? Absolutely not. If you have already had a heart attack or a stroke, the math changes significantly, and that conversation with your doctor looks very different. But if you are a relatively healthy person in your 40s or 50s with elevated LDL and no other major risk factors, you owe it to yourself to ask some harder questions before you open that pill bottle. So what are those questions? Well, there are 3 of them, and I want you to write these down because most doctors won't volunteer this information, but they absolutely cannot dodge it if you ask directly. Question 1, what are my other risk factors? High LDL by itself is one data point. Your actual cardiovascular risk is a mosaic. Blood pressure, blood sugar, insulin resistance, inflammation markers, smoking history, family history, body composition. Ask your doctor to run a fasting insulin alongside your glucose. This gives you something called the HOMA-IR score, and it is one of the best early warning signals for insulin resistance, which is a far stronger driver of heart disease than cholesterol alone. A healthy person should score close to 1. If yours is elevated above 2, your overall risk profile looks very different than if it's not. And here's the kicker. HOMA-IR can detect insulin resistance years before your blood sugar even looks abnormal on a standard lab report. And question 2, can we do a coronary calcium CT scan? This is a relatively inexpensive, low radiation scan that looks directly at your heart arteries and tells you whether calcium, the stuff that actually builds plaque, is depositing in there. It generates a score. 0 means essentially no plaque. The higher the number, the more cause for concern. This scan gives you actual data about your actual heart. not a calculated risk based on a population average. If your score is 0 and your only concern is a mildly elevated LDL, that conversation with your doctor should look very different than if your score is in the hundreds. Question 3, in my specific demographic, what is the true benefit? This is the one that will make your doctor pause, not because they're hiding anything, but because most physicians have not been trained to think this way. And ask them, for someone my age, my sex, my risk profile, how many people need to take this drug for how many years to prevent one cardiovascular event? If they cannot answer that, you have every right to say, I'd like to think about this a little longer. You are not being difficult. You are being an informed patient. That is your right. All right, so now you've asked the questions. Maybe your doctor agrees to run more tests. Maybe your calcium score comes back at 0. Either way, you still have a cholesterol number your body is producing for a reason. And I'm going to tell you what you can actually do about it naturally before you ever fill that prescription. I have said it on this channel before, and I will keep saying it. The most powerful pharmacy I know is the human body. When you give it the right inputs, elevated LDL in an otherwise healthy person is almost always downstream of something. Insulin resistance, poor sleep, chronic inflammation, a diet heavy in processed carbohydrates and refined seed oils. These are root causes, and statins do not touch a single one of them. And here is what does. Number 1, zone 2 cardio, 30 to 45 minutes of steady, moderate intensity movement, brisk walking, cycling, swimming, 5 days a week. Research consistently shows improvements in HDL levels and LDL particle size with sustained aerobic exercise. And those larger LDL particles are significantly less atherogenic, meaning less likely to contribute to plaque buildup. Zone 2 also does everything else. VO2 max, metabolic flexibility, mood. It is the most underutilized drug in existence, and it costs you nothing. Number 2, resistance training. Building lean muscle mass directly improves insulin sensitivity, which addresses one of the root drivers behind cholesterol dysregulation. 3 days a week, compound movements, progressive overload. This is not optional if longevity is your goal. Number 3, dietary shifts that actually move the needle. Increase soluble fiber, oats, beans, lentils, ground flaxseed. Soluble fiber binds bile acids in your gut, reducing the amount of cholesterol your body reabsorbs. Swap refined seed oils for olive oil and avocado. Cut the processed carbohydrates that are feeding insulin resistance in the first place. And number 4, sleep. And I know everyone says sleep, but chronic sleep deprivation raises cortisol, which raises blood sugar, which accelerates the exact metabolic dysfunction that drives cholesterol numbers up in the first place. 7 to 9 hours, non-negotiable. None of these strategies come with a copay or a side effect profile. All of them have peer-reviewed research behind them, and all of them address the root, not just the number. And here's my honest take after 3 decades in this industry. I have watched an enormous number of people get handed a statin prescription the same way you get handed a receipt, just a routine part of the transaction. And a lot of those people never asked a single question. And I understand why. You trust your doctor. The appointment is short. The prescription feels like action. But after everything I've seen, I can tell you this. I would not take a statin unless I had had a cardiovascular event and my risk profile genuinely demanded it. Not because I think the drugs are evil, but because I know what lifestyle change is actually capable of. And most people never get the chance to try it before the prescription pad comes out. You deserve that chance. One more thing worth mentioning here. If you're serious about taking the lifestyle route, your body needs the raw materials to support that work. Building muscle, improving metabolic function, getting serious about recovery. All of that has elevated nutritional demands. And that's exactly what we built the muscle pack at NuLifeSpan to support. Pharmaceutical grade creatine and nutraceuticals specifically formulated for people over 40 who are serious about doing this the right way. Not a cholesterol drug, the foundation underneath the lifestyle that keeps the cholesterol conversation from coming up in the first place. Head over to NuLifeSpan.com for details, and I will also leave information in the video description. So here's where we land. Statins lower LDL. That part is real, but lowering a number is not the same as reducing your risk, especially if nobody has looked at the full picture of your cardiovascular health, and especially if the root causes driving that number have never been addressed. Ask the 3 questions. Get the calcium scan, run the HOMA IR. Then before you feel anything, give your lifestyle a genuine, committed shot. Zone 2 cardio, resistance training, soluble fiber, sleep. These are not consolation prizes. They are the actual medicine. And if after all of that, the risk math still points toward a statin, at least you'll be making that decision with your eyes open, with real data, and with a doctor who has actually done their homework on your specific case. That is all I want for you, informed decisions. Drop a comment right now. Has your doctor brought up statins with you? Have you pushed back or asked questions? I want to know where you are in this conversation. And I read every one. Hit subscribe for evidence-based content every week built for people over 40 who want to stay strong and medicated as little as humanly possible. And share this with someone you know who just got handed that prescription without much of an explanation. This is JD from NuLifeSpan. Question everything, especially the stuff that costs $200 a month. And I'll see you in the next one.